Hello. Okay, everybody. Hi. So officially I'm live. Today it's Wednesday, Soul Chats at 5 with Jennifer Quick. That's me from Soul Clarity Coaching. Um, this week has been an interesting week. I don't know if you have felt it, but I certainly have myself, and many that I've worked with have talked about it. This week has been a lightening of the energies. So the fall has been really heavy, heavy, heavy with emotional energy, a lot of portals, a lot of eclipses and astrological influences that have caused a lot of emotional upheaval, particularly in our relationships, but definitely within ourselves. A lot of fears have coming to the surface, a lot of tension, a lot of um, just heavy, heavy energy. So in this last week, it has been lifting. So if you haven't felt it yet, you will be feeling it. The energies have lifted. They have not cleared. We still have a lot of emotional stuff going on. We still have a lot of unsettled unrest happening. But that I will make the prediction right now that that is going to carry through right the winter. And we're not going to see a real uplift in mood, uplift in energy, uplift in society really until spring. So we are still in that energy. But the general energy of the individual has lifted. The turmoil has lifted. We are now in a period of introspective. So the last two, so the November 11th portal and now the November 22nd portal are they're all about manifesting and creativity and what do we want out of our lives. And that is really what the focus is right now, is going within and asking yourself what it is that you actually want your life to look like. Now, I'm going to go and make a couple predictions, and that is this winter is going to be a difficult winter for a lot of people. Um, we are not out of the woods. We have been through, so the real tension of change that we, and evolution we have been through, but what we're going to see this coming winter is really it hitting home on a personal field. So we're going to feel those energies deep within ourselves, and we're going to see them in our communities. And we're already starting to see them. We definitely see the chaos on the world news, but we're going to see it a little bit more at home and in our relationships. So relationships are going to shift. Job market is shifting. We're seeing that supplies are shifting. We're not having as much we're not having as much supplies and everything in the stores. We're starting to see supply shortages and that. So this is all going to carry out through the winter. But it is also the cocooning time right now to figure out what it is that you're going to be creating for your future. So January, of course, is always a time of goal setting, but this is different. This is the preliminary planning. So over the last few weeks, you may have had the spark of inspiration, the ideas come to you, the changes in your life being very obvious as to what is working for you and what is not working for you. Well, now is the time to go within and really ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want my life to look like? Do I want a new job? Am I happy in the relationship I have? Are there health issues that I need to address? And if so, how do I want to address any of these issues? What is it that I want to change about my relationship? What is it I need to change about my health? What is it that I want to change about my career, my residence, my social life, anything? Okay. What exactly is it that you want it to look like? And then taking note of how much change do you need to do, right? That's later, a little bit later in December, we're going to be looking a little bit more at how much change and whether we want to take that on. And then, so that's all kind of the preliminary work that's going to go on. The other thing that's really valuable right now, because this is such a strong introspective manifesting foundational period, it's a really, really good idea to start trying on the changes that you're thinking of making in your life. So if you want to have a more active and fit life, start going out and doing that now. Don't wait until January to set your goals and make your commitments. Start moving your life in that direction now, eating healthier, addressing the relationship issues. Now, Relationship issues are kind of more the focus I want to make tonight, because that has been the biggest focus of this fall, and especially this last week for the work that I do. And I've been talking to a lot of people about their relationships. And people are really struggling because we've had such a period of tension and changes and unknown. Things are so unknown. And fatigue has hit in with all of this chaos. Our relationships are now at a point where we almost have to renegotiate what those relationships are going to be. So I'm not talking about attracting a mate. I'm not talking about bringing more social life in or whatever. I'm talking about the relationships you already have, and particularly the committed relationships of our intimate family, our spouses. All right, whatever level of commitment that is with your spouse. As we are in longer term relationships, we grow, we change, we become different people. Who I am today is not the same woman my husband married 25 years ago. Okay, well, 24 years ago. I'm not the same woman, and he's not the same man. We have grown and evolved together, and there have been times when we've grown very closely together, and there's been a lot of times we've grown really far apart. That is a normal ebb and flow of a relationship. But right now, a lot of people are going, is that what's happening? So that's the first question to ask, is that's what's happening in my relationship? Are we just having the normal ebb and flow, and we each have to make our adjustments before we'll come back together? Or is this relationship no longer working for us? And then that becomes a personal thing. What do I want? What relationship do I want? How do I want it to look? Now, we do have to allow room for each other to grow. But in this period, first I'm going to address the fact that when we're in a period of growth and we're on two different pages in our relationships and we're having two different experiences and we're just sort of not relating, we've got to remember that we're on the same team, right? Especially when it comes to spouses. You've committed you're building a life together, right? So you're on the same team. And the same with families. You're on the same team. You're together, working your way through life, supporting each other. So maybe it's time to ask yourself, how can I be more supportive of whatever is going on with my spouse? How can I be a sounding board? I mean, a lot of the times we don't need financial support. Some of us do, but we don't always need some financial support. We don't always need somebody to do something. Sometimes we just need somebody to talk to. That is probably the biggest thing that people are lonely. They can be in marriages, they can be in relationships, they can have friends, they can have family, and it all seems from an outside perspective really good and cohesive. But the reality is they don't have somebody to talk to. And so if we can put aside our own burdens and our own opinions and just listen and let somebody talk without judging them, that can actually go a long way into helping them through whatever they're going through. And when you're on the same team in life, that's how you have each other's back, right? Looking out for each other. Assume that when the person is struggling, stepping up to the plate and being who the spouse that you know them to be, maybe they're struggling and they need just a little bit of help and they need someone to listen to without judgment, somebody who maybe picks up a little bit more around the household to help move the energies and make them feel, give them a space to feel whatever it is that they need to feel and they need to process. Now, when I say without judgment, that means don't give them your opinion necessarily, unless they ask for it, right? And then it's your opinion. It's not what they have to do. It's just your opinion, and accept that. Except that they're not necessarily going to take your opinion. They should take it under consideration, but it doesn't mean they're going to do it. So, but judgment means, yeah, you can state your opinion, but you don't force it on them. You don't force your ideas on them. Without judgment means you're not criticizing them for their choices. We all make bad choices sometimes. We all do mistakes sometimes. Let's assume it was a mistake and move on, right? We don't hold their feet to the fire and say, no, you're responsible for it. We don't do that. We make room for each other to be human, to make mistakes without judgment, without saying that they're a bad person. You know the spouse that you're with is a good person, right? Otherwise, why did you marry them? So obviously, I'm not talking about people who are in severely abusive relationships. Okay, I'm talking about the normal relationships where, normal, I hate that word, but where we are healthy relationships, where we are trying to be in a loving relationship on a long term basis. So make room for each other to grow, make room for each other to explore who we are, explore different aspects of ourselves, to become different expressions of who we are, right? That's part of growing, and doing so without judgment, holding space for each other, listening to each other. Sometimes a nice hug once in a while, it goes a long way in making somebody just feel seen and heard and understood, right? So having that, and that's what we need to do right now. So that's the relationship aspects of it. Give each other room and so to be ourselves, to go through the changes that we want to go through, as well as to do so without judgment. The other thing of relationships is stop and go. Am I showing up in my relationship as the person who is having the relationship I want to be having? That's a lot of words to unpack. So in relationships, it's really easy to blame the other person and to say, well, they're not who they used to be, and they're not being for me who they were supposed to be. But the reality is we all go through that. However, the one person is showing up, the other person matches them, and that's how relationships go. All right, and we have this ebb and flow that goes up. Sometimes one person's a little more evolved and behaving a certain way and has expanded who they are, and the other person has to play catch up, and then they come into harmony, and then the other person grows, and there's a mismatch until we come up and we harmonize again. So it's always this growing, harmonizing dance that we do in our relationships. And what we need to do for our personal selves is to look within and go, am I showing up as the person I want to be in my relationship? We all have times when we're not. And particularly after going through such an emotionally high charged period of time like we have, it's a good question to stop and have perspective on. Am I being the person? Am I behaving? Am I holding the vibration? Am I being the loving towards my spouse that I want to be in the relationship that we're having? So adjusting and making sure, checking in on ourselves, right? Are we showing up as the person that we want, that is having the relationship that we want? So that's it. The other now, so that's on our relationship side. And then I talked about our health side with the manifesting is start trying out what we want to manifest in little bits, right? If you want to manifest new health, do a little thing, a few little things towards your health. Start it now. Don't wait for January, right? January, you're going to have a whole lot of energy come through that's going to be all about moving. This winter is all about building foundations for ourselves, right? And right now we're figuring out what foundations we want to be building this winter. So try them on a little bit. And then career-wise, same thing. Think about what it is. What is the environment we want to be working in? What is what do our coworkers look like? What does our day look like? How do we feel at our job? What kind of emotions are we wanting from our job? And how are we misaligned to it? What adjustments do we need to make? These are all introspective things that as the foundations towards manifesting what we want. And that is the energies of this week. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to sign off on that for tonight. I hope I've given some of you a few things to think about, and bless you all. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the energies and love you. Have a great time.